We will call to order the City of Yamhill City Council meeting Wednesday, December 10th, 2025 at 6:34 p.m. We have a roll call, please.
Featherston here.
Esky here.
Karen here.
Corrigan here. And Counselor Kind is out sick tonight. She did call and let us know. Hope she feels better. I'm also sick, so stay away from me. All right, so then we will do a flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So, moving along to public comment. So Yamhill encourages all citizens to comment on any city business. This is not a dialogue platform. Comment shall be limited to 3 minutes. If anybody wants for future meetings, special accommodation or additional time, please contact City Hall in advance. We have one person in attendance tonight, so Mr. Rocky, would you like to speak tonight?
Yes,
Please.
thank you for the opportunity. And Mr. Mayor, if you would keep track of my time so that I won't go over, which I'm capable of.
Yes, sir.
I would like to present this thought before you. I think it's very important and very critical. There are red flags regarding finance, commerce. We're one of the greatest debtor nations in the whole world. We are the greatest debtor nation in the whole world. And it is debt that is our problem. As I read some of the minutes, I'm very pleased to see and understand that this city and its decision-making process, you're paying loans off if you can, even a little bit earlier. This is good. Saving money is good. And I think we all are going to learn the value of making decisions and doing things in a way where we will lessen the debt that we may have, that we might be able to prevent. So I would like for you to very seriously consider looking at the budget in a much more serious way than it ever has been before. Because I believe that we are not very far away from very difficult financial conditions. I'm happy to understand that the property tax money has essentially come in. That's good. But I also believe that there are signs and symptoms that would indicate that they may not come in as wonderfully as they have this year, and perhaps even in some preceding years. So if we have a cut back in commerce, we can translate that into an understanding that there may be less business transaction. And that means that contractors would work for less rather than more, because there may not be as much competition for work. So the council spending a reasonable amount of time really tracking what is taking place financially and developing a process of coming to conclusions based on fact. And that means you all are in the driver's seat, where you need to find expertise that is out there in the business world and get some feedback so that you can really understand what the pulse is. And that you will then act on that and hopefully save money and still get the things done that need to be completed. And we do have a serious shortage of critical infrastructure. It's been on the line, on the budget line for being completed. And speaking of that, also the people that you use, the engineering folks that you use, it's going to be very wise to do some more checking on who can do as good or better, thank you, do as good or better job than is being done. I think that's important all the way through. So thank you.
I'm gonna say thank you, Rocky, for your comments, and I think you're gonna love this meeting.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, okay. All right. One more audience member, Mr. Kit Johnson, do you like to speak tonight?
Nope, I'm good, thank you.
Do we have
I brought
anybody
up
online?
apples for everybody to share.
You brought what?
Apples for everybody to share.
Amazing. Does anybody want an apple? To start?
Not during the meeting.
I mean, we have two people, maybe nobody online. Do we have anybody online?
We don't have anyone online.
So I think apples would be allowed.
Sorry, I'm not gonna eat one
I'm
during
not
the
gonna eat
meeting either.
You know how sensitive.
If they're
the
juicy, they might get on my
Yeah.
computers.
All
I'll have
right.
one afterwards.
So moving along to agenda updates or additions, do we have any?
I have no updates or additions.
Okay. Then the consent agenda, I assume everybody's had a chance to review. We get a motion.
Make a motion, we accept the consent agenda.
One second,
Askey second,
and a vote, please.
Livingston, aye.
Askey, I.
Aaron, aye.
Corrigan, aye. Passes unanimously, and moving on to city administrator report. So this meeting tonight, a lot of it is informational for the meeting that we have next month, which is going to be a lot. So a lot is being put together, getting ready for that, if that makes sense.
The council meeting next month.
The council meeting, and I believe we will be having a work session in between to kind of tie up loose ends and make sure that you know, when we arrive to that meeting, we have a clear idea of where we're going and expedite things. So some of the things, I'm gonna start with my favorite one. Rocky might like this one, is I had a meeting today with the Economic Development Administration federally and the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments to discuss up to a $20 million construction grant to complete a tie line from our water treatment plant to our impound and then on to Barney Reservoir. So that, again, up to $20 million, the COG is working with us. They will most likely be writing for that grant. They will be writing for an additional grant of $500,000 for regional water solutions. So that would be all the cities in Yamhill County, with the exception right now of Newburgh, Willamina, and Sheridan, who come in a separate phase of this plan that they have. So that was an amazing thing. There was 9 or 10 people invited to that meeting. We were the only city that showed up for the entire thing. We got quite a bit of one-on-one time with Mick Ray, who's the interim director for the COG, as well as this gentleman, Wes Cochran from the EDA. So very encouraged. There is $1.5 billion in available money, and currently only 100 million of it has been issued out in grants. So
So Shay, I have a question in regards to that. So does that mean that the tie-in between either Mac or Hillsborough is put on hold
Nope.
because of the Barney Reservoir thing?
nope, okay, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I was wondering how it's gonna. What's that?
Hillsborough is Barney.
Hillsborough is Barney, however, the meetings gone by, water advisory boards, which is where she's getting this gone by, was Highway 47 tie-in through Gaston
Yeah.
to Hillsborough that direction. The beauty of Barney, as we've discussed, Jason and I in depth, it's a raw water source, and we may be the last city in the Willamette Valley that has an untapped raw water source at this point. That would be huge for us. So those things, yes, those are still all in motion, but those are coming in the regional aspect at this point. We do have a $200,000 grant that we're working right now with engineering to study pipelines. So the pipelines will be, yes, from the ones that I just discussed from the treatment plant to Barney, but it will also do some research into most likely the tie-in with Hillsborough if we went down Highway 47. And that would be the likely corridor of travel. I actually just talked with, Commissioner Johnson about that. There was a lot of talk about railroad beds. That is not necessarily the best place to put your infrastructure because its future is uncertain. Whereas the highway will be there and that's a good place. There's already an easement there for water lines. So those things are all good and upcoming. And Rocky, this is gonna be for you. We started digging into contracts and who we have contracts with and when we review them. There is not an established sort of timeline for reviewing contracts. And if contracts have been reviewed, there's not really a great record keeping system on when it was discussed, who was discussed with, and what the outcome of that discussion was. That will be changing over the next couple of months. But a couple of things that stood out to me when we reviewed them, we have multiple contracts. Two that stood out tremendously was we have no contract with our insurance carrier. And our contract with our engineers have not been reviewed since 2014. All the other contracts have been reviewed. We're moving down the list. We have the IT in 24. There's some, our lawyers in 23. The COG was this year. Sedcor was this year. Our water billing company, Abston, and Next Bill Pay. Those were reviewed this year. AccuData a couple years back. But what I'm getting at there is I of the opinion that 2014 and not having a contract with an insurance carrier should be remedied. We should look into whether we're getting the best bang for our buck. And what else is out there, because that seems like entirely too long to not review that. So my suggestion is I would entertain a motion to put out a request for quote, so an RFQ for both engineering and insurance at this time. And then to direct staff, the city administrator, to send out and publish those RFQs. If that's something we could do now. Did anybody want to discuss those contracts?
It's engineering and what was that second one?
It's the city's insurance agent. So we're insured through CIS. Bellwether is our agent. And we don't have a contract with them, and maybe we should. And maybe we should see what else is out there as well. And then AKS is our engineering firm that handles 99% of what we do, right, Jason? But again, 2014 was the last updated contract.
Is there anything in their contract that, like, are we tied to them for a certain amount of time, or that we need to give them a heads up that we're
30-day notice if we choose to change. But the RFQ would also, I mean, it would be put out to AKS as well. So we would get an updated version from them, as well as any other engineers that chose to throw their hat into the ring, so to speak. Once those come back, then council would have a decision to approve a new contract, keep the old contract, just update that's been reviewed, or just move on to a new engineering company if that's what we chose. Same goes with the insurance carrier.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Sorry to jump in there. Why an RFQ instead of an RFP?
Well, it's just a request for quote. So after the quote, then we can make the determination whether we go out to change, right? So with just the quote, then we understand sort of the scope of their work, what they're able to do for us, what is that all gonna look like? And then council can this council has to make the choice
Correct.
to have a new contract.
Just
I
wanted
was trying to figure out the difference between an RFQ and an RFP. I mean, the proposal and their quote are basically the same thing,
Like
right?
an RFQ is basically like Shay saying, they're just gonna give you their credentials. An RFP is like you're requesting for a proposal, like basically saying, we'd like you to bid on this to see if you fall within the guidelines.
But don't we want that to know if
Well, we
they're,
certainly can.
That's why I was asking, but I didn't wanna make it convoluted, but I'm just curious.
So didn't somebody look into different contractors for us at one point, not too terribly long ago?
for engineering?
Yeah,
I feel like that's what I was gonna ask.
It's,
because I know that something has been brought up and they came in and they addressed it at one point.
Well, I think you're regarding that to the Parks Master Plan.
Yeah,
When we chose,
Yeah, the
Okay.
Parks Master Plan, we
Yeah,
actually
that
wrote an RFP and put it out there and took several engineering firms into consideration.
Okay, maybe that's what it
Well-
was then.
the RFP would actually be an expedited version of that if we wanted to go that route.
We can give you the most information at once, right?
I'm comfortable with that if that's,
so how would the either P or Q affect like current in process
it
work that they're doing?
Yeah, I think. it
Because
would.
even if we decide to change, it would be at least a month out, and then we have to give them a 30-day notice. So,
And from a public works standpoint, and we're finishing up our last CIP project this coming month, so, or starting our last CIP project this coming month, so.
Jason, how is it working with them?
I've enjoyed it. I mean, honestly, for me, it was my first introduction, right? I mean, those are the first people I kind of hit the ground running with, so. I mean, on a personal level, I've never had any issues. There's some stuff that, maybe offline needs to be discussed, Shay and I have discussed, but.
I mean, what is
Well,
your?
so the idea
I've always felt for a community this size, I think there needs to be a more intimate relationship with your engineers. And I think I'll leave it at that.
I think we're putting the cart a little bit in front of the horse. And the idea is, it's not that we have a good engineer or a bad engineer, it's that we haven't reviewed the contract since 2014. So the idea sort of is to go out to see what else is there, what, if
Right.
they've changed. And the scope of work that they can provide for us. And then again, we can, discuss more of that, like at work sessions, stuff like that, but we could go through their contract in all detail tonight, will help one way or another. I guess the matter of fact is, do we think that it's time to look into it? After 11 years or whatever that is.
Well, the reason that I made that comment was because you get a feel when you work with somebody if it's a good situation or potentially a bad situation. And if we've had them for that many years, because a lot of times you can tell when, yes, you're being told one thing, but in reality, it's something different. And that's what I wanted to find out is how has his relationship been with this company, regardless if we've had a contract for 10 years or 50 years.
Well, and again, I think those are the things that would come up when we're discussing, right? For example, if we go
Yeah.
out for an RFP or Q and AKS is the only one that comes back with anything, well, then you kind of have, do you want an engineer or not? Do you
Yeah.
want to renew a contract or not? If you have 30 companies that come back in, then I think that's when we discuss, how have they been for us? What great things have they done? Where were there some shortcomings? I think that's when we do that. This is just to find out if we want to see what else is out there after 11 years.
If I could say anything, I would say to the point, from a professional standpoint, I think that the city needs to look at its contracts at least every 2 years.
Mhm.
Just overall and put out RFPs to, just kind of challenge the market and see, if you can find a better pricing. So.
Well, and that's something that we could, I think we have a work session coming up and maybe that's a thing that we can include into that. Which would just be the schedule of review of contracts. There's quite a list. So, I'd hate to hammer a council by declaring it January's, business. But just be spread out throughout the year and just have those things kind of come up and come out in packets would be, I think, advantageous. To Rocky's point earlier, if you don't ever check, you don't know where you are. So I do like the idea of of changing that to the RFP as opposed to RFQ, if that's what council would like to do. I think that's great. So I would entertain a motion for a RFP to go out to look at insurance and engineering.
What's the, I guess process, like reviewing contracts, does that mean we've already looked at? Someone has already looked at what we currently like the current contract that they have, has that already been done? Or by reviewing contracts, do you just mean, is that just another way of saying, just quoting elsewhere?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like when you check with your automobile insurance, right? You've been with the company for a while and you want to go see what else there is and what they have to offer and what the rate's gonna be and that kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, an 11-year-old contract, certainly something's probably gonna change.
Yeah. But there could be something in there that's really advantageous to us. Like, I mean, I'm surprised that working with them for so long. Or having, I guess, like an account like this. All they need is a 30 days notice and you can just let them go. Like, that seems like.
They wrote the contract.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So if we get a new one.
Yeah.
It's possible you might not get that again and you might be locked in for a certain amount of time or something.
Well, this doesn't terminate their contract,
Yeah, yes, you're right.
right? So the outside of their contract, if we say, hey, you know, what we had was great, AKS loves us, we love them. But then we put literally on the outside of the form, just a review date, went before council, it was discussed, we agreed that the old contract, and all of its verbiage is perfect. And then we, at least in 2 years or whatever we decide, when we go back to look at it, we go, oh yeah, we did look at that. Cause certainly it's probably been looked at some level since 14, but how would we know? So.
Are you ready for a motion?
Mhm.
All right, I'll make a motion that we request RFPs for insurance and engineering for the city of Yamhill.
And to direct the city administrator to.
And direct the city administrator to go ahead and take care of that.
Perfect. But just to be clear, you guys want an RFP, not an RFQ.
Ask me second.
So contracts renewing, fancy flashing stop sign has been ordered for the corner of Olive and Main. Congratulations, Jason, you have something to put up.
Yeah.
I'll be here in 3 to 4 weeks and we got a heck of a good deal on
Is that on 240 or
it.
Main?
Headed out.
Okay, yeah,
That stop sign is run a lot. It's a solar powered light that has a nice warranty and it's kind of, they gave us a great
oh, I've
deal.
seen them.
We're using it as a test light. Yeah, same one they have in Sherwood.
Yeah.
TSP update with Walt Wendelowski. He's working on that with ODOT. I think that will come up again in Planning Commission. ODOT likely has more money than we expected. So to help us out with some other things like the trees downtown. Speaking of the trees downtown, I attended a meeting at Carlton with the Department of Forestry on urban trees. We have a couple of their foresters calling them the Allisons, Allison O'Sullivan and Allison Harrell. They're gonna work with the city to come up with some ideas on what types of trees and spacing and so forth that we can install. We also have a volunteer that owns a nursery who's helping with the planting of those trees and the maintenance of those trees and what all that will look like. So that's exciting and coming up. Marty Fouts, my business partner, donated a couple of lights for the park. So I don't know what that looks like yet. I got an Amazon box. I haven't opened it. It could be 1 string or 100. I don't know. We'll see. So we'll finally have Christmas lights in the park. And the last thing, the city administrator report is the Christmas tree lighting that we just had last weekend was fantastic. A great turnout. And a little guy that helped me read the night before Christmas. It was wonderful. Had a lot of great volunteers from the schools. Thank you to them. And amazing work that was done by staff, Public Works and the office for putting everything together. And Angie and I for cleaning it up last night and learning vacuum repair 101. So if anybody needs a vacuum repaired, that's also something that the city can do on a contract basis. Joking. And that concludes the city administrator report. Moving on to the financial report, which was sent out in our packet. Did everybody see it?
Mayor Porter.
Yeah.
The letter of resignation is included in the packet for the administrator report.
It is, and I did go right by that. So yeah, I don't know why I didn't have that on there. Oh, I was doing that under police because our chief is gone tonight. He's out on working a case. But so we'll add that in right now quickly. As most of you probably know, our longtime corporal, Van Cleef, has given us his resignation effective November 17th. I'll read his resignation letter. Says, "Dear Chief Graven, after careful consideration, I'm submitting my formal resignation from the position as police officer with the Yamhill Police Department effective immediately. This decision comes after 18 and a half years of dedicated service to the department and the community. I am incredibly grateful for the opportunities I have had throughout my career, serving alongside committed professionals, contributing to public safety, and growing both personally and professionally. The experience and relationships built over the nearly 2 decades will remain meaningful to me long after my departure. Thank you to your leadership, for your leadership and support and trust throughout my tenure. It has been an honor to serve this department and community. Respectfully, Corporal Van Cleef." And wishing him well in all that he does in his future. Yeah. It was a nicely written letter, I thought. So then to the financials, everybody saw those. There was any questions or need for discussion? Okay. On up here. And then moving along to police. Again, chief had to miss the meeting tonight to be on a call. The police stat report, everybody received that, I think. Any questions? And the staff report that he would have, I think we all read. There is potentially, so everybody knows that Andrew McCullen has been working through his FTAP, which is the field training, which is fantastic. So we'll have coming soon, reserve officer. And there has been actually, we have closed the job of corporal after Van Cleef's resignation. And we've opened up for an entry-level officer. So they are working to hire a person for that role currently. I would imagine by the next meeting, we'll have an announcement there. So that's very exciting. And I think everybody read Chief's report. It's multiple pages. Okay. Public Works. You have anything, Jason?
You guys have any questions as far as the report? Brief.
How have things been with all the rain?
It's good. I mean, I think we did a good job. I mean, I'll be honest with you, we brought in 660,000 gallons to the lagoon system. Most of that is due to the collection system that we have. But we were prepared, as always. We did a lot of navigating through the fall to get those lagoons ready and to take on that much. And fixing, I believe, the storm issue on Cedar was an added bonus,
How did that work through the rain?
It worked really good. It worked really good. We had no puddling,
So
no,
catch basins were the answer, not ditches.
correct.
Well, good news.
So yeah, everything looked good. We're still bringing in a heavy amount through the bioswale that we have at Jonathan Calhoun Park. I mean, we can't really put a number on it, but it's heavy amounts of storm that collect there. They go into our system, and that's, capturing up above on Highway 47 southbound. We capture a lot of that from land. So anyways, no, things have been good, progressive. The guys have been doing great work. That's all I have. If you guys don't have any questions.
I just have a quick question. How is the sewer system doing since the new subdivision?
It's been doing great. I mean, like I said, I hate to look in the rearview mirror and kind of bring up, past history and past practice. But we've done a really good job, this current Public Works, with navigating early on with those lagoon systems and getting the pumps up to standard. I think there was a lot of operations and maintenance that was missed in years past that wasn't allowing to full pump capacity with our effluent. I know when I first came on 5 years ago, the effluent pumps were only putting out 200,000 plus. Now we're upwards of 550,000 gallons, so we can keep a medium with what we have for storm and wastewater. So,
Well, I just want to tell you that I hear nothing but good things about Public Works as a whole.
oh, I appreciate that.
So you need to, let those guys
No, I let
know.
them know. I mean, those 3 individuals I have working in Public Works are phenomenal people and they do their best at all times, so.
I know you guys have done since you've taken over, I'll put it that way,
I appreciate it.
a great job. So
Thank you.
I
think we all
applaud you
agree.
guys.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's kind of nice to actually have Public Works not get any negative feedback, or at least not often,
Yeah,
that
not often,
wasn't
yeah.
always the way, was it?
Yeah, truly.
So good for you and good for us. All right, well, thank you. If you would like to
Oh, okay.
go, you don't have to stay. We're close to the end. Again, most of this is moving on to the next month, so. With the conclusion of Public Works, that would be, our city recorder will give the planning commission, unless, do we have somebody from planning online? I don't think so.
Chair's not normally available. So for planning, they had 2 hearings. They had a hearing for the lighting ordinance, which you guys will be seeing next month and you've seen before, so that is completed and ready to come to council. They did a variance hearing, which will be continued to December 15th. And that's when Walt also gave us the great news that we do have confirmation in writing from ODOT that we are getting the money for the TSP. And he just needed a little more time to get us more information, and there will be another update at this next meeting as well.
That is all good news. The Economic Development Committee, we don't have anybody here from there, but I was there at the meeting. And again, it was a meeting planning for a meeting. Jenny Morrison, the chair, had reached out to, I can't think of the name of the agency. I had it written down and I don't know what.
Is it SHPO or
So SHPO,
state?
yeah, it's the Historic Society, and yeah, I think SHPO is the acronym that they use. But there was a gentleman that's gonna come out and help with a historic building inventory to kind of help get the historic district established a little bit better. That's expected to happen this month. And again, going back to what we talked about, there's a lot of discussion about the trees for downtown. They're gonna kind of help take the lead on that and then make some recommendations to council to expedite that process. And then we are kind of excited, and I don't think that the city recorder knows this yet, but we have a potential new person joining the Economic Development Committee. So that person is going to come and watch a meeting and see what she thinks of it. So I hope we're all on our best behavior for that one.
I have a question
Yeah.
about yours. So are we trying to push to get the downtown or some of the buildings down here to be like on the Oregon Historical Society?
Yeah, so
Cause I guess my thought process is if we're going through and doing this exterior lighting ordinance on all of our downtown buildings, is that gonna change? Because all the things that are now gonna be historical will have some grandfathering and additional rules, I would imagine, to keep things to the age, right?
sure. So that gets all tied up in the minutia of all, right? So when you go, when we look at our lighting ordinance, right? So that's coming up here next on the agenda, right?
Yeah.
So we were originally gonna vote on that a year ago,
Right.
right? And then the downtown historic district, that has been going on for 5 years.
Long time.
Yeah.
And they're kind of, you're right. So they might have conflicting,
I guess we'll figure it out when we figure it out, huh?
sure.
All right.
I mean, I hate to be, like, yeah, but the reality of it is I'm not sure with the lighting ordinance that it would really affect an historic building.
We'd probably have to amend it to put some kind of clause in there that if a building is covered under the historical designation, that it doesn't matter or something.
So, and I think that that's right. So the way I would see that going is that if there was something that was very important to the city as far as lighting goes, you could still ask potentially to have an historic building have a different lighting system than maybe it would have in the day. Or we could adjust, like you said, the lighting ordinance for a variance for an older building like that. And that's a good question for Walt Wendelowski, I think. To kind of see how those two would tie together. And since he's the one that worked on the lighting and he'll be the one working on the historic, we'll just ask at that point that the code lines up.
Lines up as much as possible, yeah.
Yeah. I think so. Okay. So on from that, mayor's report, it would be next. I think that's covered in the city administrator report, council reports. There was none turned in. Unfinished business is listed as none. Does that remain true? I don't know how we get new. New business, the planning commission's order of recommendation, exterior lighting ordinance discussion. So did you guys have the information on that? So again, that's something that's been going on for over a year. They keep kicking back to us. We keep kicking back to them. Not to say that we should just, everybody should vote their conscience, but after a year, it's been quite an expensive ordinance because we keep reposting it all the time. There will be a hearing coming up that is next month at the council meeting. Is that right?
Yes, I didn't get the notice out in time for it to be on this council meeting, so there will be a hearing for it at the next council meeting. So if there are any questions, since you guys have had plenty of time to review it, and you want answers to certain specific questions,
Do
regarding
all
it?
of our city buildings fall within the requirements for the lumens?
So if, again, this is bounced back
that's
and
something
forth
that you would
enough.
review when it was under, if there was a complaint. Or when there's a complaint.
And I believe city lights were then,
We don't have a tester for that. We would have to pay for the testing to do it.
right, but were city lights not removed from the, or is it just the
It's the
city
street lights.
The streetlights were removed or excluded.
Yeah, so again, with this, the council had kicked back to them at one point that, they had asked for 6 months to make the changes and council had said that 12 was more appropriate, and then they came back with it should be 6. So there we are with that. Now, remember, when we go to the hearing, we can approve the ordinance with changes. So if that was still something that council felt was important to give somebody a year, that we can make that adjustment at that hearing. Does anybody else have discussion that they wanted to go through tonight? In advance, like Angie said, it would be great if we could have the questions ready for you for the hearing, if anybody did. We're pretty clear on it after all the discussion that we
I mean,
had.
I went to a lot of these hearings before I was even, or
Mhm.
meetings before I was even on council. And I think that what they came up with, or what's been the final end result, is within reason. And the 6 months, I think, is appropriate also. Only because there's not that many buildings in the city that actually need to be changed as a whole.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, and that's what we'll vote on that during the hearing. It would be nice to have that off our plate, honestly, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
No more discussion on the lights? Wow. That's kind of cool.
I just wanna make sure like Public Works where some of those, flag lots go back in there, like that you don't have stuff at the gas little pumps, that those lights aren't too bright, and all of a sudden now the city is passing something, and then we have to go and change stuff.
Okay, but a lot of them, it's not changing out the light as a whole, it's potentially just putting a shield over it. You know, one of those cone jobbers,
It could be.
yeah, and that's gonna be
But not all lights,
relatively, huh?
not all lights would it, could you purchase a shield for? Maybe you'd have to fabricate something or.
Right,
Yeah.
but that's not to say that you can't do that.
Of course. And then the other one is I believe if that is not the case, so at one point, council had decided when we kicked back to planning that it would be, if you were the neighbor of or adjacent to a property that had an offensive light issue, that would be the person that would be able to report. And I believe planning then has come back to, do I remember this right, Angie, that it would now be anybody that was offended by a light could complain?
Yes, originally it was said that only adjacent properties or properties affected by the lights could be the complainants, and they changed it for the commercial buildings so that anyone could make a complaint.
So that's something that we might want to think about too, because
They would only have to live in town, they could just drive by and say they
Yeah.
don't like the lights.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, that could, just saying, what that could do is create a massive code enforcement issue.
Okay, I'm gonna use me for an example, and I'm gonna use the school as the issue. A block away, they had a street light or whatever you wanna call it, that was shining directly into my kitchen. Not only did it shine in the kitchen, but it went into our dining room windows and then reflected off of the mirror that is directly across from the windows. So, and because of the age of the house, there is no way I would take that mirror out because it's original to the house. So, because I'm not directly adjacent to that light, I would have no means to address the issue with the school.
No, that one you would, because you
No.
were affected by the light.
Okay,
Yeah, your properties.
but I'm not adjacent to it.
Right, but so if the city put up a spotlight on top of the city that shone into the Catholic Church's parking lot, if that was.
Right,
Even though it's 4 blocks away, that would still be an affected.
okay, but
Person.
anybody could say that when they're driving down the road that they were affected by a light that was anywhere. You know, do you understand? So taking that out could potentially cause an issue for whoever. If you take out the fact that,
I mean, just because it's, someone can file a complaint, doesn't mean that it's kicked into motion, like this needs to be replaced and fixed. Like it could, if someone's making
right, a random complaint.
I see what you're saying.
Sounds like, yeah.
Like I
there
hate
would be
Tim's,
like, yeah.
yeah, so
my
I'm gonna
Christmas
call every
lights are
day about his
crooked,
light.
so I'm gonna- Like, it would still need to be like investigated and, but I mean, I see what that could cause, like, have you ever do you receive many complaints like that?
For light?
Yeah.
I just think it needs to be, they need
Only
to be in there.
What?
only about one property specifically that I've heard.
Yeah.
And, but I mean, this hasn't been something that, has been in effect. But I think if there's questions that can be answered, if you want to submit questions to me, a lot of this discussion is something that you would probably be doing during the hearing
Yeah,
rather than do it 2 nights.
yeah, do we have any questions that we wanna have answered?
I guess like, is there, my only question would be like, is there something, we put something in here that. I don't know if it's too late now, but like something that in the end, it's up to the discretion of common sense. Yeah.
So, right, so, but then whose sense is common? And then the one thing I would caution with that is actually, that was actually written into water billing, that it leaves it to the city recorder to make a determination if you may qualify for a payment program if your water's been shut off, which makes that person the bad guy,
Yeah,
right?
There's some criteria right now, yeah.
Yeah. So that would probably, that would be rough.
okay.
Maybe we should kind of think through, that'd be great, so we can take another year.
But you have to be careful with the verbiage, I guess, if you're talking about who can complain and who can't. When it comes to this lighting thing.
Was there a reason why they? I don't even remember anymore, that change.
Yeah, so that right there is the question that we can address to Walt, and that can be answered at the hearing.
Well, why was that?
Why was it changed? Why did planning decide that it should be, anyone can complain about a light, not
It was
just the
Citizen
affected property?
comment.
What's that?
It was a citizen comment,
Citizen comment?
yes.
Oh, yeah.
But that could be changed, instead of adjacent properties, it could just be affected properties, because the light actually touches your property.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's,
Some, that could be just a
That's
wording
better.
change.
Yeah. And then there would also be like safety issues, right? That I think, I mean, it
It
doesn't
talks
say you
about safety
can't.
and security and
Yeah.
in there, so. yeah.
Well, no, I'm just like, for example, if somebody's light became askew, like the light that bothered Patty's, it could change who and where could be bothered. Especially if it means, let's say something started shining into the highway, obviously that would be just taken care of by, the traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think that it's completely, you can't complain. Just maybe that wouldn't be what would necessarily trigger a response from code enforcement. So we should think about that between now and that hearing. Does anybody have questions that they want to answer besides that, which is kind of
Where
already been
does-
answered?
Do you know where it says 6 months versus?
Yeah.
I keep seeing eventually conform.
it's on page 3 at the top.
But that's the effective date.
Yeah,
Within
Oh.
6 months of the effective date.
Yeah,
so once this is finalized, they have 6 months to change it.
that's
I mean,
true.
but then in like if you wait, hold on, sorry. Like in the section that has existing non-conforming lights. Oh, okay, the effective date definition now applies. Existing outdoor light fixtures are exempt, but must eventually conform. Okay, yeah,
So I think they left that in because it bounced back and forth so often. So
Yeah.
that's why I think they finished it with the effective date definition now applies. At any rate, so maybe we should all take time between now and then and review. Because it would be great to finalize
and
this.
send questions. It'll be okay to send questions after this,
Send questions directly to me.
up
Yep.
until,
That,
how, up until when?
As soon as possible.
Okay.
All right. All right, so moving on. Information and announcements. City Hall is closed for Christmas Day and New Year's Day. And the park master plan survey is live on our website and Facebook, which is kind of like 46 people have responded to it or something. Look at that,
As of yesterday, it was 49.
49. That's really good. And I don't have anything else. Does anybody else have anything before we ask for a motion?
Yeah,
Cool.
and thank you for everyone that helped with the Christmas tree lighting this year.
And
That
vacuum
was in my
repair.
staff report, but
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't let you do your staff report.
it's okay.
Do you want to do
No.
a separate for it?
I just want to thank everyone that helped with the Christmas tree lighting this year. By lending electricity, people that donated the tree. Brian Robbins did that, Mr. Wesley, lets us plug into his property. The public works guys were out there working on it for 3 days straight in the rain, so.
And the Board of Commissioners lets us use their property? Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
If I'm not mentioning anybody, I mean, I really mean my sincerest thanks to everyone. Because we always somehow pull it together, but it always feels like we need a lot of help at the end. YDA helped.
Yeah.
with decorating.
Oh, the decorating, well.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Mhm.
All right. Can we get a motion?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
We're adjourned. Now you can have apples.
Apples.
Take 'em home.